Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Today I Want to Be Career Exploration Interview. I'm so happy that you all have decided to tune in today. I'm so excited about our featured professional for April. Whoop, 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 whoop. We have Nicole Barnes here, and she is actually a realtor. And so the great thing about this show is you're able to ask her questions. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook, you can also just ask her questions, and you might be inspired to be a realtor to you yourself. I'm your host, Martinique Brown, and the name of this show is called Today I Want to Be. The reason why I created this business is to help young people explore different career fields and actually be able to talk to different professionals in these fields currently. So if you're interested in being a co-host like our students here are in the future for our upcoming months, make sure you go to the website, and the link is in the description box. I'm always going to be referring to that description box because all of the information that you need to know about Today I Want to Be, about Nicole, because you might be saying, man, I'm in the Cincinnati area, I need a realtor. Nicole is the woman for you. Or if you're just interested in getting to know Nicole a little bit more, all of her social media links are listed in the description box as well. Now, if you want to be somebody like Nicole and say, hey, I love what I do, I want to be featured, you can definitely be featured yourself. Make sure you go to that description box, and right there where it says become a featured professional, click on that link, fill out that information, and then we can get you started as well. Our next show is actually going to be on May 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 o'clock Central Time, and we're going to be interviewing our video production manager. That should be great because this year for 2020, I actually focused on Black women and their careers, and I'm really just excited about that. So make sure you just click on Today I Want to Be so you can find out more about all of our professionals that will be featured in the company coming months. Also, I'm so excited about our students that we have here that will also be just asking Nicole questions. So we have Addison, Javon, and we have Regina here. Nicole, let's start with you. Can you just tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I am born and raised in Ohio, so I'm a Buckeye, and I I attended Florida A&M University, HBCU, and I attended the School of Business and Industry. So I received my 5-year MBA, my MBA in their 5-year MBA in their 5-year business program. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I've married my college sweetheart, Duran Barnes, who's from Chicago.
Okay.
And together we've made a home here in Cincinnati. And together we have 2 wonderful kids. Our son Donovan is 14. And then we have a daughter, Nyla, who's 12. And we also have a dog.
I didn't know you had a dog.
Yes, my husband is a dog lover. So this is our second dog. Our first one passed away.
Oh, okay, okay.
I can't say that I'm a dog lover, so I do my best.
Me either. That's one of my requisites for dating. I'm like, do you like dogs? We might not work it
out. So besides just being involved with my family, I really like to be outdoors. I discovered hiking about 4 years ago. So I don't do it as much as I like, but I love to be outdoors and hike. Anything in regards to concerts, music concerts, indoor, outdoor, I want to be at one. So every year I at least have to attend one concert at least. I just love live music, and I like to work out. I don't do it as faithfully as I should, but I do love to work out. Mm-hmm. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I like to do.
And we will definitely be learning more about Nicole as we continue this interview. Another thing that I forgot to tell you guys to do is go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about Nicole, about becoming a realtor, as well as the company Today I Want to Be. And also give us a virtual shout out. Just let us know that you're in the virtual world. Addison, can you just let the viewers know what grade you're in and how old you are?
I am 11 years old and I'm in 6th grade.
Whoop, whoop, 6th graders in the house. I'm telling you, I remember when I was in the 6th grade. I was so ready to go to middle school. I was like, this is crazy. Javon, can you tell the viewers just a little bit about what grade you're in as well as what school you go to?
I am in ninth grade and I go to Evans High School.
Evans High School, all the way here in Orlando, Florida. And what about you, Regina?
Hi, I go to Jones High School and I'm a junior.
Okay, so let me ask you something, Regina. Are you just like over high school? Are you just like, you know what? I'm so ready.
Yeah, about ready to go to college and everything.
That's excellent. So now, are you interested in going out of state, or do you want to stay in state?
I've been looking at both, mostly in state, but out of state is always an option depending on like scholarships and financial aid.
Yeah, definitely. So now you all, we really have some really great questions in store for you guys, and you are really going to just get a really in-depth knowledge of what it's like to become a realtor, because you know everybody feel like they can sell something, but you can't really sell something until you really sold it. So Addison, let's start with you. Go ahead with your first question for Nicole.
My first question is, why did you name your company True Vision?
That is an excellent question. So my husband and I decided that we were ready to take the leap of faith into investing in real estate. So he had previously created the name True Vision for another business entity he was going to start. And when we decided that we were going to go ahead and take this venture together, I went back to that and I said, how about we use the name True Vision? And so we made True Vision Holdings, the LLC, because we wanted to expand the businesses that we have. So under that name, we also have True Vision Images, and that's a photography business. So with that, I'm able to do sports photography. It's something that we add as a service to my husband's business, which is a basketball organization that he's the owner and director of. So True Vision really just speaks to who we are. We're true to ourselves and to each other and to our vision and what we would like to create for our children and for others as well.
That's good. That's good. So now what about you, Javon? What question do you have? What's your first question for Nicole?
My first question is there any good expectations to have when becoming a real estate agent?
Are there any good expectations to have?
Or any expectations at all?
Yeah, so that's a very broad question. The expectation is it's exciting. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years and I have to say every transaction has that adrenaline rush and has the excitement. And some days you feel like it's your very first deal because you're just excited for your clients because you see the passion and you hear the passion in their voice of wanting to find that perfect house or wanting to sell their house. So be excited. That's something to expect. You're going to be excited, but yet it can be an emotional roller coaster too. There could be times when you don't have any listings, you don't have any clients, you don't have any buyers, or you're just not able to close the deal. So it's going to be that emotional roller coaster, but you have to stay the course and be very disciplined.
Can you just talk to us about what does that discipline look like for you?
So discipline means you really have to engage in the industry. For me, what I found is very energizing is actually going into the office because real estate is a career where you can really do it from the comfort of your home.
Okay.
Especially with the technology evolving the way that it is, you literally don't even really have to step foot in the office that much. So I get a lot of energy, a lot of motivation, a lot of insight when I go into the real estate office and I'm around other agents because you feel that energy. The other way is being involved in the trainings and going to meetings because the more you learn about the different resources out there, it re-energizes you. You know, you may get into a slump and you may feel like, okay, nothing I'm doing is working or I'm not connecting or whatever the case may be with clients or potential clients. But then you find out about a new resource that they have available. So for instance, not too long ago, our company shared with us that we can do virtual staging now as an option for our sellers. So that's something that is exciting because now when you go and you do your presentations to a potential seller, you know, they can say, well, I don't want to pay that huge cost that they presume it to be for staging. Even though staging is not a huge cost, it's an investment. And studies have shown that when you stage your home sells faster and for quicker dollars. But sometimes, you know, you may have those sellers who are hesitant because they don't see the value. And so we have the option to say, hey, now there's virtual staging available. So, you know, being involved in the meetings and the trainings, you learn that information and you can go in there with a different pep in your step, and you know how to rebut, if you will, those objections that you may be getting. You know, reading books, watching videos, following other successful realtors in the industry keeps me motivated. I would have to say one of my favorite stores is Lowe's. I know that's weird, but I love going there, just looking at the light fixtures, the paint colors, like that excites me. And then, you know, just my own personal philosophy of what I want to achieve. I have individual goals that I'm trying to achieve. I have a vision board. So just keeping those things in place, those things keep me motivated.
That's good. That's good. So now what question do you have, Regina?
My question would be, how did you discover that you wanted to be a realtor or a real estate agent?
Great question. So I was right out of college, let me back up. So in college, I had the opportunity to do an internship, several internships. So my last internship was with a pharmaceutical company. After that 8-month internship, I was off of full-time employment. And I did that for 7 years. And I found myself being laid off. And so for me, it was just like, okay, this was a shock. I didn't expect that coming. And they, as a part of my severance package, they were offering those who wanted to an educational stipend. So they were giving out up to $5,000 to apply to your education. I didn't want to go back to school for 2, 3, 4 more years, anything like that, but I wanted to take advantage of that stipend. So I was looking at something that I knew I would enjoy, that wouldn't require a lot of my time as far as schooling. And I discovered real estate. I thought 64% of the agents in the market are women. That's me. I felt like I could offer something, a fresh new face, because I never really heard or saw very many Black women realtors. I only knew of one growing up, and she was very successful. And I like the fact that I had an entrepreneur side to it. I've always had that within me. And so I was like, this is perfect, right up my alley. It's something that allows me to be independent, but yet I know I will be held accountable based on who I decide to go with as with a broker. And it gave me flexibility because at the time I was now a stay-at-home mom, but I couldn't literally truly be a stay-at-home mom because that's not how I'm wired. I like to move and be active. So I just wanted to still be able to have that flexibility with my kids, but also be pursuing a career.
That's good. So how did you not get discouraged when you did get laid off from the pharmaceutical company though?
So really it's just, I'm not saying I didn't have days of discouragement, I did, but I didn't stay there long. It really was a bittersweet departure because I won the biggest award you can win as a pharmaceutical rep, the Vice President's Award. But the bitter part was I was leaving a profession that I enjoyed. You know, if they hadn't laid me off, I probably would still be there because it's an excellent career. So if you find someone who's a pharmaceutical rep, they would be excellent to have on your show.
Yeah.
But really, it was just a matter of like, you know, I have many talents. God has blessed me with many talents and many abilities. And I know that I can pick up on things well. I get along with people. People trust me. And really, I like to help people.
Okay.
I also sit on a school board for charter schools, 2 charter schools. They're dropout recovery charter schools. So I like helping people and I like people achieving their goals. So, you know, I'm not saying I didn't have days of discouragement, but overall, I didn't stay there long because I was like, this is something that I can do in addition to whatever else I decide to do. I decided I'm not going to put myself in a position again to where I just have one egg in the basket.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm really glad that you pointed out like the characteristics that's needed to be a successful realtor. You know, you mentioned being a people person, somebody that people can trust and things like that. So what's your next question, Addison?
My next question is, how many states are you licensed in?
That's a great question. I am currently licensed in Ohio. So every state has different requirements as far as the number of classroom hours you have to take, and then there's an exam that you have to take. In Ohio, you have to take a national and a state exam, and there's a certain percentage you have to pass in order for you to get licensed. So in Ohio, it took me 3 weeks to get my courses all completed. I went full time. There's appraisal, real estate law, finance, and then principles and practices, and that totals 120 hours.
Wow. So now, Edison, I know that you also wrote on your questions if there was any other states that she was licensed in. Are you licensed in any other states?
I'm not licensed in any other state. It is common though for agents, not a lot, but I do know some agents in Ohio. They will be also licensed in Kentucky, and that's just because the location of Kentucky is literally right next to Ohio, right? And so it's very common for people to live in Kentucky and work in Ohio and vice versa.
Yeah, because you all may not know, because all of these students are in Florida, but in the Cincinnati area, like you just go over a bridge and then you're just in a different, you're in Kentucky altogether. Yep. So that definitely makes sense, Nicole. So now, Javon, what's another question that you have for Nicole?
For me, I have a, are there any different times of the year when buying and selling is high in demand?
Yes. So typically the spring season, believe it or not, starts the day after Super Bowl. So that could be in February. Okay. However, your top 3 months for selling are May, June, and July, with July being the highest month. So that's the highest month that we see sales. And then statistically, a study showed that there's 2 days in May and 3 days in June, for whatever reason, that sellers tend to get 10% more than their asking price. Right?
Really?
Yes.
That is so odd. That's crazy. Okay.
And so if you think of a bar chart, you have June, and then right below it is July, and then the bar gets a little bit lower and lower towards December. And so same thing on the opposite side. You have June, you have May, April, February, January, March, February. So it's like kind of like a mountaintop.
Yeah. That's good.
But I will say this, people are buying no matter what month of the year it is. So don't let that discourage you. It's just some months are more active than others.
So what's your next question, Regina?
My questions come with being a real estate agent.
Excellent question. So the pros is that you definitely get to be your own boss. You can set your own hours, which is great. So if you need that flexibility because maybe you are a stay-at-home mom or you're doing another profession, you have that ability to set your own hours. There's unlimited income potential because it's going to vary on the price point that your client is going to be coming in at. So that's a great thing. You get to see beautiful homes. You know, you get to go and see new construction, and you get to see how people have remodeled or custom built. So that's always exciting. And then you get to help people. At least for me, I feel that's a pro. You get to help people, and you get to be able to say, I help them achieve their goals or their dreams. It's awesome to be able to drive by a house and be like, I helped them get that house. You know, I would think that builders or construction workers, I would think have that same type of like excitement when they drive by a building, like we did that, we built that home. So that's exciting. The cons is that there's a lot of realtors in this industry. So last time I saw some stats, there were like 1.3 million realtors in the U.S.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's an industry where a lot of people are in because they see the pros of it, and I don't blame them. Some of the cons is that because there are so many, you're competing against a lot of other agents that may have more experience than you, may have different type of resources. So you're definitely competing against a large number of individuals. You can work a lot of hours, even though you have the flexibility to set your own hours, you can definitely work a lot of hours. And sometimes you feel like you're on call because at any moment your buyers are like, we need to see this house and how soon can we get into it? Or you have sellers who are receiving offers or questions are being raised about the listing. So your phone is going off all throughout the day. You may have clients that can only meet in the evenings, or you may do showings and it's only a weekend type arrangement that can happen. So, you know, your time can be pretty full and occupied. And then there's times when you don't have any business and you're in a drought. And so, you know, because this is a commission-based industry, you don't have a salary. This isn't a traditional job where you get paid for 40 hours. And so that's something that you have to take into account. And you have to be financially smart, have good money management, because you could be close to the closing table and something out of the blue could happen, and now you don't have a closing. So I think the last thing would be is that, or last two things is that reminding individuals, this is not HGTV.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking, oh man, this is gonna be so cool. She just like the show.
We're not gonna find a house in one day, close in one day. All that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna list your house in one day, close in one day. Things don't happen in 24 hours. I know it looks good. We can make it happen, just not in 24 hours. So we can't do all the processes and steps necessary. So just making sure people realize, like, this is real life. This isn't TV.
Yeah.
And then it's not necessarily a con. Some may consider a con, but keeping up with technology. Real estate is constantly changing. New tools are constantly coming out all the time. So you have to stay abreast of the changing technology.
Definitely. So I do want to give a shout out to Vera Benjamin, who's tuning in, and Darthula, as well as Cassandra. And we have plenty other people that are also tuning in, but I think that they just afraid to type anything. Don't be afraid, we will not bite you. But if you are just now tuning in, you are watching Today I Want to Be, our career exploration interview. And we are talking to our realtor, Miss April. That's not her name, but she is featured in April, and her name is Nicole Barnes, and she is a realtor. So make sure you go to the description box if you're interested in becoming a featured professional yourself, if you're interested in becoming a co-host like our students are here, or if you just want to learn more about Today I Want to Be. Also, we have a question on the floor for you, Nicole. She says, how often do you have to, and this is coming from Cassandra, how often do you have to renew your license?
So that's a great question. So in the state of Ohio, every 3 years, you have to renew your, well, you have to do continuing education, and that renews your license. So you're required to have 9 mandatory hours of ethics, law, and civil. And then the remaining 21 hours can be elective. So anything from design to structural issues to home inspections to property taxes to how mortgages work. So it's a plethora of different electives that you can take. One thing that I do, and I would highly recommend to anyone in the industry, is to take as many courses as you can on inspections, so that you're aware of what a house should do and shouldn't be doing, how things should work and not work. I would also recommend taking courses dealing with lending, because clients tend to ask you lending related questions. Even though I'm not a lender, I still want to have that knowledge. So I do my best to say, well, I'm not a lender, so I would take that question back to your lender. But for you to have that reference is always good. And then I try every 6 months to make sure I'm taking a class on staging, because the trends are always changing, the looks, the wish and wants lists are always changing. So you can keep apprised of what type of carpet is in, what type of flooring, what are the best paint colors, what not to do and what to do when to staging a house.
So now Cassandra also asks, do you get to keep that furniture that you pay for staging?
No. So unless you are a stager, you have your own company, but no, with staging, you team up with a interior or interior design or a staging company, and they bring in the furniture. And so they have different terms available. Usually it's a 30-day term. And then, you can do month by month type arrangements, but the furniture doesn't say. Now they will take offers. If someone's like, I love that couch, they may be willing to part with it for a price. Yeah. And some realtors, I know, they've had their own furniture that they store. So they may offer pieces here and there in a person's home, but I try my best to work with what someone currently has in their home.
That's really good. So now, what's your next question, Addison?
My next question is, do you have to have a license in the state you're buying or selling a house in?
That's a great question. So I'm going to try to make this very clear as possible. You do not have to have a license to buy a home. So you can buy a home anywhere without being licensed. If you want to help your clients buy a home and you're not licensed in that state, you still can receive a commission off that. And this is how it works. I have a friend who wants to move to Georgia, but I'm not licensed in Georgia. But I know a fellow realtor in Georgia. I can do what's called a Tipsy to that realtor in Georgia. So I'm tipping her, my friend, to this realtor in Georgia, and then we agree on a percentage of a referral fee that I'll receive from that tip fee.
Only if she closes, right?
Only, no matter what, buying or selling in any state, you only get paid if you close. So no close, no cash. You close, you get cash.
But see, I guess my thing is, what if that same person wants to purchase a home like 3 years later from the tip I gave? I guess that's why you have to maybe have a strong relationship with that Georgia realtor, because it's kind of like she owes you. You know what I'm saying?
So that's a good question because I have that scenario. So a friend of mine from Cincinnati, they moved up to Columbus. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know the Columbus market, so I would be doing a disservice if I was to represent them up in Columbus because I don't know the market. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I said, I will find you a realtor to work with. I sent in the paperwork to our relocation department. They gave her a realtor that she could work with. I also interviewed that realtor as well. Okay. She didn't want to work with that realtor. So we went back to the relocation department and say, hey, I need another realtor. This one's not going to suit her needs. Mm-hmm. We found another realtor. I interviewed that realtor. They did their interview. There was a connection. Okay. They purchased a home. I believe it's been about 4 years now since they built that home and everything. I talked to her not too long ago, and she purchased on your calendars too. Hey. She was asking my opinion on whether or not they should stay where they're at or if they should look to move. And we had, some conversations about different things. She decided to list her home with that same realtor that originally helped her buy 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, I could have made an issue and like, well, let me refer you to her. But in essence, they've had a relationship potentially over the past 4 years.
Gotcha.
So she has established herself with a realtor up there. Mm-hmm. Now, how she asked me, Nicole, can you find someone for me because maybe she still didn't stay in contact with this young lady, then yes, I would have been doing another tip.
Gotcha.
But in that essence, there wasn't a need for me to do a referral fee. Okay. And usually when you do a referral fee too, there's a time limit on how long that agreement is good for, up to a year, up to 24 months, whatever you agree to. Mm-hmm. That if that client in that time period finds a home or sells their home, then you're entitled to that tip fee. After that expiration, if you haven't extended that agreement, mm-hmm. then it's fair game.
I understand. Okay. So Javon, what's your next question?
The next question is, what type of level of degree did you need to become a real estate agent?
Excellent question. One of the best things about real estate is that you do not need a degree. All you have to, at least in the state of Ohio, you just have to be 18. You have to pass a background test, or a background check, I should say, not test. And then you just have to go through those classes. You can take them at a local community college, but you don't need a degree, a college degree. And it's a low investment. So you can, at least in Ohio, you can go and take your real estate courses for under $2,500 roughly.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So what's your next question, Regina?
My next question is, did you have any doubts becoming a real estate agent?
That's a great question.
No, she did not. She's Nicole Barnes.
I can't say that I had a lot of doubts. The only thing I was concerned about really initially getting started was, Lord, am I going to pass this test or these tests? Mm-hmm. Because there's 2 tests that you have to pass. So that was like the biggest thing that I was concerned with. I mean, and then as you get into it, you're so excited because you get all these tools and resources and you have all these coaching sessions and everyone's excited to join, welcome the new agent to the office. And I had a really good intro. We had 6 weeks of training. They taught us various things. So my introduction to real estate was very hands-on as far as my management was concerned. They provided great training and they still do. So my entry into the industry was good. You do have explainers like who's going to be my first deal, who's going to be my first client, am I going to know what to say, what to do? But if you're with the right broker and have the right manager, you're going to be helped along the way. They don't want you to fail. They're not going to help. They'll help you along the way.
So now when you mention broker, you know how we'll see, I think their name is Caldwell. No, Century 21.
Yes.
So Century 21 is considered as a broker?
So a broker is the one that holds the license for their agent.
Okay.
Right. So they're considered a real estate brokerage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the real estate broker have any type of association with those Century 21, the company?
So you have the brokerage, and then in the individual brokerages, you have a broker.
Oh, okay.
So you can be a real estate agent, and you can be a broker. There's different requirements to be a broker, but like there's different. So you have locally we have Tipsy Klein, we have Remax, we have Comey and Shepherd, we have Cole Banker West Shell. So all those are considered a brokerage house in this sense.
Oh, okay. So now what are some other careers that a person can go into? Like, let's say they did try out, becoming a real estate agent and it just didn't quite work, but they're still interested in that industry. What are some other fields that a person could go into?
So you always could join a team if you feel like individually you're not cut out individually to do it. You could look to hopefully join a team, and then you could be a buyer's representative or a seller or a listing agent representative.
Okay.
And there's going to have to be an agreement that the team wants to have you on because they want you to be producing. You also might want to go to the commercial sector. So maybe residential isn't your thing, but maybe the commercial sector is something that you want to get into. You may individually want to become an investor where you invest in properties because you want to be a landlord, or maybe nowadays you want to have an Airbnb, or you want to rehab homes and to sell or to lease them out. You could also get into property management. This is where you are managing the properties for investors that have rental properties. So there's other things that you could do in regards to that. Or you just might want to be, a trainer within the real estate company. You might want to do the trainings as far as like maybe how to use the tools, like e-marketing tools and things of that nature. So, you might want to be an assistant to someone. You don't necessarily want to sell, but you like what real estate is and you still want to be in the industry. You could be an assistant. You could always be on the staff and support team. So there's a lot of roles within different companies that you can serve in.
And I think that's the great thing about having these professionals here on the show, just because, yes, we do have Nicole as a realtor, but she is still knowledgeable about different fields that, somebody may be interested in going into that's still within that particular industry as well. And she did mention just commercial. When she said commercial, it's just talking about businesses. So, helping to find those properties for your businesses that we see in those buildings that we see specifically for companies and businesses. So what's your next question, Addison?
My next question is, what resources do you use to locate a house to rehab?
So with that, as a realtor, we have access to what's called the multiple listing service. So that allows us to see listings that hit the market, like it's real time for the most part. Then there's also other services that you have access to, the resource property report, that you can go on there and search properties, and it can give you a little insight if it's pre-foreclosure or if it's foreclosure. So that kind of gives you an idea of some properties that you may be approaching. There's auctions that happen in cities, the sheriff's auctions. And so there may be a particular day, like Thursday, for instance, the third Thursday of each month, they may be auctioning off properties. So you can go to those type of events to find your next rehab. You may team up with a bank or a hard lender, hard money lender, and they also may have a list of homes that are going to come on the market before it's available to the general public.
So what's your question, Javon?
For me, what are some responsibilities that come with being a real estate agent?
There's a lot. So one thing is you have to be accountable for any type of funds that are within the transaction. In handling funds, you have to maintain confidentiality. You can't break that trust. You have to show homes. You have to hold open houses. You have to manage all the documents before the listing or during the listing. After the listing, there may be still some paperwork left. You have to drop all the paperwork. You have to negotiate the deal. You have to go in there and maybe help prep the home for selling. In some cases, you may be the photographer, so you might have to take the pictures for the listing. Some people outsource that task. You have to update your social media in this day and age, because that's a big way to also promote your listing and get clients and get the home sold. You have to work with the appraiser, because sometimes the appraisal does not come back in your favor. So you have to help in that regard. You have to oversee the inspections and making sure that, you're negotiating what repairs are going to be made. So you might have to meet the contractor at the homes to get things, allocated and fixed and things of that nature. So there's a laundry list of things you can do, but there's tools in place to where you have a checklist and you're checking the boxes you're going along. So it's not that you have to constantly try to reinvent the wheel. A lot of times the documents, the resources, the tools are already there for you. You just have to tap into them.
So I have a question for you. It sounds like a laundry list of responsibilities that you have. How do you actually find balance in, your work life and your personal life, and, just not have that burnout? Because you've been in this game for 10 years now.
So I met one realtor one time. They didn't do anything on Sundays. It was their day off, and they didn't take calls. They didn't do showings. They didn't do open houses. They would just refer the open house to a fellow realtor if their clients wanted it. And they made that known up front to their clients. So I think if you set the expectations up front with your clients, I think that will help, going forward, some of the miscommunication that could occur. But you have to have an understanding family and support system. I may not be able to be at your game the whole hour. I might have to leave the last 20 minutes because I got to meet some clients to show them homes. But if you communicate that up front, I think that's important. But you also have to be disciplined enough to say, okay, I'm going to put my phone away, or I'm going to turn it off. I'm not taking any phone calls. For me, my notifications as far as phone calls and text messages, they stop at 9 p.m. I have that setting on my phone. So I don't get anything again until 5 a.m. the next morning.
Okay.
So you just have to put some tools in place to help you keep that harmony. I don't want to say a balance, because I don't believe you ever can truly have a balance between your personal and, you say, your work life. That's when people get stressed out. But if you feel like, hey, I give 60, 70% to my family and 30% to my business, or I give 40, 60, as long as it's providing harmony for you, then that's what's important.
Definitely. So what's your next question, Regina?
My next question is, did you have any struggles in becoming a real estate agent?
I wouldn't say I've had any struggles becoming a real estate agent. I think the struggle is just trying to, obviously just stay committed, not be discouraged, because there's times when, people are looking for a home, or they need to sell a home, and you've talked to them and you've, given them little nuggets, or you've dropped hints here and there, you've stayed in contact with them, and they decide to go with someone else, and they didn't even give you an opportunity to present your services and yourself. So that sometimes can be a struggle, because you're always self-evaluating, like, okay, what is it that I need to do differently? And sometimes you'll never get that feedback, because obviously at the end of the day, it's their choice who they want to use. But you just hope that you are given the opportunity to present your experience, your knowledge, on how you can help them get to the next phase of their life. So struggle wise, you have to be, again, smart with your money, because this is a commission based only career. You don't have a salary, so you have to be smart with your money. So there's this old saying, but it's a very powerful one. It's not how much money you make, it's how much you save. So just being disciplined with your money management skills is important too as a realtor.
And do you guys understand what she means when she says commission versus salary based? Do y'all understand that?
More or less.
Okay,
so explain the difference, please.
Okay, so when you're a salary or you're on a salary, that means, for instance, you're working 40 hours for that week. You've agreed to receive, say, $2,000 for that 40-hour work week. You're going to get that in the bank every 2 weeks. But the commission, you get paid based on the sales price of the home, and that can fluctuate. And you only get paid at the end of the transaction, and the end of the transaction means you're now at the closing table. So you can be working with someone for 3 weeks, 3 years, 3 months, and until they make a transaction, an arm's length transaction, and they close, you don't get paid anything. So there's no upfront cost with that. So that's what I'm saying. You have to have be very smart with your money, because there's going to be expenses that you're still responsible for paying that go along with being a realtor. And depending on what you want to invest in as far as maybe resources, that's also something that you have to take in consideration. So commission is based on what you sell, and in this industry, when you close, that's what the commission is based on, that sales price.
Thank you, Nicole. So Addison, what's your next question?
My next question was, what's difficult about being a realtor?
What's difficult about being a realtor? I guess sometimes it's just the expectations that people have that can be a little challenging. It's important when you're dealing with a seller that they understand that this is now a commodity, and the market, which are the buyers, they're going to dictate the value of your home. So, sellers obviously think their home is pretty much the best. It looks great. Why wouldn't someone want to buy their home? But it's important to let them know you have to cut that umbilical cord, put your business hat on. It was a home to you, but it's just a house. It's just brick and mortar to someone else. And they're looking to make a business transaction. Buyers, just making them realize that, you have a wish and want list, but you also have a price range of your purchasing power that you have to work within. So I can't make, a mansion be worth only, or you pay only $10 when it's a mansion. It's a mansion for a reason. So again, making sure they understand that these are the expectations coming into it. This is what we're working with. These are the parameters we're working with. But we certainly can find something that fits your needs, but just setting those expectations up front for people.
That's good. And so it sounds like honesty is a good characteristic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As well. What's your next question, Javon?
My next question is, would you say you liked all 2 years of being a real estate agent?
10 years. 10.
Oh, 10.
Have I liked it? I can say no, I have not. I have not, I'm being honest. Sometimes I'm like, babe, that's it. I'm going to put my license in escrow. He's like, don't do that. Don't do that. And then as soon as I say that, God blesses me with a client. So I don't know, maybe I need to say like that every day. I don't know. But no, I've had moments where I'm just like, I don't know if I still want to continue to do this. It's been less and more. There's more years that have been, I'm going to keep doing this. I love doing it. Then I don't want to do this anymore.
So what does it look like when you get in that funk where you just like, you know what, I'm so through with these people. How do you get yourself out of that mindset?
You know what? I can't even say it's the people, because people are going to be people. And again, they're grown. They can make any decision they want. It's their money. It's one of the biggest decisions in their life. I really have to do self-reflection and say, okay, Nicole, what did you do that wasn't enough? Or what aren't you doing? Mm-hmm. And what do you know you need to be doing, but for some reason you're not doing it? So really, it's an opportunity to do a reevaluation of self. It's to sit down and say, okay, I got to start doing this. I got to be consistent. I have to be disciplined. I have to step outside of my box. I have to, grow. I have to be willing to make the investment, whether it's more time, resources, financially. So for me, it's more of a self-evaluation of, okay, Nicole, you got to change something you're doing is not working.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And it sounds like you had to be honest with yourself also. So yes, that's really good.
You do.
So what's your next question, Regina?
My next question is, would you say that being a realtor is for everyone, or do you think like certain people need to have certain characteristics or strengths?
That's a great question. So when I've read like statistically the industry and how realtors come into an industry, it does have a high turnover rate, because I do think sometimes individuals come in with this expectation, I'm going to sell $1 million home, I'll make all this money. Again, sometimes I think they get this preconceived notion by watching HGTV, which I like HGTV, I'm not bashing it, but it's not going to be $1 million listing each and every time, right? So I think you have to come in, you have to know what your goal is. You have to have realistic expectations set by either your mentor, your manager, to know this is what you're getting into. And it does require for you to be honest. It requires for you to be patient. It requires for you to have due diligence. You have to be someone who's willing to communicate, be organized. You also have to be willing to say, okay, let's sit down and say, you have to be willing to say no to some things, and be willing to walk away from the table. Not all listings are good listings. So, if you feel as though it's not where it needs to be, don't take that listing if you know it's just going to sit on the market for 6 months, because you're not in the business to list homes. You're in the business to sell homes. So you have to be willing to make those decisions. So it's not built for everyone. Some people don't have the patience. Some people aren't built just for commission-based only. You have to be responsible. You're managing a transaction. So people are looking to you for guidance and your opinion. And, you want to make sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, because this is probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest transactions financially that someone is going to be doing in their life.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be our last set of questions from our students. Addison, if you could ask your last question for us.
My last question is, when you are talking to a client about closing a house, what is one thing that your client always says is a must-have for the house?
So I had a lot of static when you were asking your question, so I didn't hear it.
My question is, when you are talking to a client about closing a house, what is one thing that you always try to have?
Martinique, it happened again.
So are you more so asking, Addison, what's that one question that people always ask when they're purchasing a house?
Yes.
Is that your question, Addison? Okay.
No. The same thing happened with you, Martinique.
You blocked out. Can you hear me?
I see your lips moving, but I hear nothing but static.
Okay. So Javon, go ahead and see if she can ask, if she can hear your question, and I'm gonna type it to her.
Okay. My question is, what makes you different from other real estate agents?
Great question. So I have the same tools that a lot of other realtors have, but for me, two things that I do as far as like my signature is that, and other realtors may do this as well, but for me, when it comes to my buyers, it's mandatory that we have a pre-counseling session, because a lot of times buyers don't understand the processes and steps it's going to take. So for me, it's important that we sit down. I try my very best to always have it at my real estate office to present a very neutral, professional environment, and access. And I know working with technology-wise with computers, answering questions that you have. You're asking me questions. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry.
No, so that's the question from Addison. So you can finish answering.
Okay. Okay. And then like if we don't have a relationship, we've never met, then that's the opportunity for us to break the ice, for you to get to know me to get to know you. Hopefully, if you have kids, bring your kids so I can meet your kids. So I can find out a little bit more of your wants and needs. So that's one thing that I always do, hands down. And that allows us to set the game plan. So if, you need to save more money, you need to get your credit together or something of that nature, we've talked about it. And I'm just going to check in with you on a weekly, bi-weekly basis to see how things are going. That gives me an opportunity to get you connected with a lender if you don't have one. And then when it comes to my sellers, I always want to come to your house prior to listing it, meaning I don't want the first day that I'm coming there, we're filling out paperwork and we're putting it on the market. I want to come at least 2 months, if possible, prior to you listing the home so I can walk through, see what needs to be done, recommendations on repairs or upgrades, if not even more than 2 months, to give you plenty of time to get those things done. And then that same appointment, I don't come in with a price of what I think your home should be listed at, because that would be unfair because I've never seen your home. I don't know your home. But what I like to do is I like to come in and I like to take them to either a sold home that I can still get access to, a pending home, or an active home. More than likely, it's going to be an active home. And I like to take them at least to 2 of those homes in a 1-mile radius of their home so they can see what their competition is. And then I ask them to go into those homes from a buyer's perspective. If you were a buyer, what would your perspective be or perception of this home be? And when they do that and we go back to their house, they're like, oh, now I understand why you recommended we paint. Now I understand why you recommend we do this to the front yard, because they're critical of someone else's home. I said the same critical, transaction, if you will, or the same comments could potentially be for your home. So how can we fix that? So those are 2 things that I like to do. And then at the end of the day, I just under promise and over deliver.
That's good. Yeah. So now, if you can answer Addison's question for us.
Okay, let me look at it one more time. I apologize. Okay. What is the one question that people that want to buy a house always ask for? What are they asking for from me, or what they're asking for in the house?
When they're asking for a house.
So one thing,
like the most common
questions. They want something that is, buyers want a move-in ready house for the most part. They don't want to go into a house where they really have to do any work. So they want something that's move-in ready. So usually move-in ready in this day and age means modern, up to date. That's what they want. They don't want to come into a house that they have to do work to. And if they do, they want it to be very, very minimal.
I don't know, because you keep mentioning HGTV. And so I'm thinking about like the show when the people be like, well, I want X, Y, and Z, but their budget is only like Z.
Right.
So it's not big enough for everything that they want.
Right. So you have to then tell them, okay, I know this is your wish list, so make sure we prioritize. And then you have to check back in with them. Has that changed? Now that we've seen some homes, has that changed? And you'll be surprised. Sometimes people will start to shift around what they thought was their number 2 to maybe now it's their number 4, because they realize, okay, maybe that's not important. Maybe it's more important that I have this, maybe it's, I really do need to be closer to work. Or it's like, okay, I guess I can drive that extra 10 minutes because I'm getting more house. I'm getting more house for my money. So people will, start to shift around what they feel their wants and needs are. And people, once they've been out there, they usually are like, okay, I'm willing to compromise, and maybe I don't need to have, a 2 deck, or maybe I don't need a 2-car garage. 1-car garage is fine, but I get everything else I want.
So what's your last question, Regina?
My last question is, when you first started entering, becoming a realtor, do you think it was easy or hard to adapt to the strategies and how to work with customers and everything like that?
So for me, it was a challenge, and sometimes it still is, because by nature, I'm an introvert, but I have extrovert characteristics. It really.
What's the difference of the two, the introvert and extrovert, though?
The extrovert is someone that's out and about. I mean, they're going to the networking events, and they're on this committee and that committee, and you know, they know that they're known in the community. And so in the pharmaceutical industry, I had to do that as far as dinner programs. I would have to arrange dinner programs. We have speaker programs. So the nurses and doctors and PAs, they would come to the dinner programs, and that's a form of networking. But it's just like, for me, sometimes being by nature an introvert is draining. But I have extrovert tendencies too. So that was probably what was hard for me initially, or challenging, because, you know, my manager's like, Nicole, I need you to write down 50 people that you're going to call today. And he's like, huh? Like, I don't mind calling them, but I don't want to come across like a salesperson, right? I want to help them, and I know I can help them. I'm good at what I do, but I don't want to come across like a pesky salesperson. I don't want that. So that was, Nicole, okay, how many doors are you knocking on doors? Or, you know, did you follow up with the 10 people? How many calls did you make? Did you call 10 people? They was like, that was a challenge. That was a challenge, but you have to trust the process. It's all for a reason. So if they don't know that you're a realtor, they're not going to obviously use you. And so you want to get to the point of when they say, who's your realtor, they're saying my name. That's the point that I need to get to. Just like when someone says, who's your hairstylist, you instantly roll that name off your tongue. Who's your doctor? You instantly roll that name off your tongue. When someone says, I need a dentist, you instantly are sending your dentist information. So when someone says, I think I'm selling my home, or I think I'm buying, you instantly like, oh, Nicole Barnes. That's where you want to get to in your business, to where you're instantly the go-to for your sphere of influence, or your circle of sphere.
That's good. So now, Nicole, my last question to you is, why did you want more youth and students to know about becoming a realtor?
Because I really think it's important for them to realize you don't have to put one egg in the basket. You can be a teacher if you want to, and still be a real estate agent, right? Or you can decide, you know what, college isn't for me. It's not something I want to do right now, but you still want to, you know, be able to get in the industry that's respected and is helping people. And real estate is one of those fields where it's not going to require you to go in debt. You know, it's not going to take a lot of time for you to get the courses done. I mean, you can go part-time, because that's very common. You go in the evenings, you go on the weekends to achieve your 120 hours. But I like the fact that it's something that you can do no matter what state you're in. You can go and find out the process for licensing, and you can become a realtor in that state. And then hopefully you'll get bit with the bug, and it'll just expand. Maybe you'll become an investor. Maybe you'll own a portfolio of properties. You just never know what it could lead to. So just think outside the box, and success is really your definition of success. No one else can define success but you. So just letting them know that there's people that look like us that are making deals and, you know, helping people achieve their goals. And it's something that's very rewarding and exciting.
That's great. That's great. So guys, I thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Today I Want to Be, our career exploration interview. I thank you all added going to, but at least you've been able to connect with Nicole and ask her these questions. And Nicole, I definitely thank you for being a part of this project. I know we started all the way back in August.
All right.
But I'm just really thankful that people have been able to have a better understanding of who you are as a realtor and know that, man, if Nicole can do it, I can do it too. And
Absolutely.
so that's why I really wanted to connect students with our professionals so that they can see somebody that is representing them in particular fields and just know that the sky is the limit for them. So now you have just gotten a taste of what it is to become a realtor. I tell everybody about the library. Make sure you go to the library so that you can just explore this career field even more. If you're serious about just learning more about becoming a realtor, there are so many. Nicole said that we have like over 1 million realtors, and so just start contacting these company and just let somebody know you're interested in shadowing them, because it's Nicole has expressed to us these relationships that she has to build with these people. So it's nothing wrong with letting, a professional know you're interested in that career field. First, get it approved by your parent and then let them help build that relationship. But right now is the best time to be exploring these different career fields and figuring out what you enjoy doing, because that's the name of the game. That's when you will truly enjoy your adulthood, when you do find those different careers that you're interested in going into. One of the other things I wanted to point out was Nicole said, look, you don't have to just stop at being a realtor. You can just explore different career fields. So you might be the type of person that's like a serial entrepreneur, somebody that enjoys working in different industries. So being a realtor could just be one thing that you enjoy doing, but there are always so many other fields that you can really just explore it as well. Make sure you tune in to our next career exploration interview that's coming up on May 21st at 7 p.m. here on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. And you can ask your questions to our video production manager as well. If you're interested in becoming a co-host or a feature professional, make sure that you go to that description box, and it has all the links in the description box so that you can be featured or you can become a co-host as well. I thank you all again for tuning in, and I hope that you guys have a great night. Bye bye.